Deputy Seamus Healy is listed as next. 6 minutes.
Thank you, Cathaoirleach. Debt, Cathaoirleach, is the single biggest issue facing the citizens of this country. And I want to here publicly congratulate the Ballyhea group who have raised this issue and kept it before the public over a long period of time, marching every week. I also want to congratulate those other groups around the country linked with Ballyhea who are doing the same thing, including the Clonmel group, Clonmel Says No, who march every Saturday as well. The motion before us effectively calls on the government to seek a write-off of the promissory note from the European authorities. I support the motion because the government has not even sought that, but I am under no illusions that asking alone will bring a positive response. Already, Eamon Gilmore, the Tánaiste's game changer, has been blown away by the German authorities. Not alone would there be no agreement by other eurozone countries to shoulder any of the legacy bank-related debt of the Irish state. They have made it clear that they will not shoulder any Irish bank debt in future. And there will be no serious talks about mutualising the eurozone bank debt until we stop honouring the promissory notes now and in the future. It is only then that real talks would start. The European Union has placed a huge millstone around the necks of the Irish people. That millstone is called debt, debt and more debt. The bank debt of €64 billion is not the debt of the Irish people, and we are not responsible for it. It is the debt of speculating European banks and finance houses, and it is those institutions which must be made shoulder that debt. Ireland must get a write-down of the debt, which is a crushing burden on us, our children and indeed our grandchildren. It has created huge austerity. We've only to look at the huge unemployment figures, huge emigration, cuts to services, tax increases, social welfare cuts, pay and pension cuts, increased levels of poverty, particularly among the young children, and high levels of mortgage distress. That is what the EU, with regard to debt, has done to this country, our children and our grandchildren. The EU must be made to agree to declare bank-related debt a burden on all countries in proportion to their gross domestic product. In other words, the debt must be mutualised. In the matter of bank debt, the European Union has singularly been unfair to Ireland. The Commission's data agency, Eurostat, has produced figures which are truly shocking. Ireland has taken a huge hit for the rest of Europe. If one looks at the cost of banking crisis to member states, Ireland is at the head of the queue. The crisis has cost us in excess of €41 billion, which is ahead of every other country, including Germany. It gets worse when one looks at it from the point of view of percentage of gross domestic product. Ireland is at the head of that posse as well. The bank crisis cost us 25% of our gross domestic product. The nearest member state in those terms would be Latvia, which costs 3% of its gross domestic product. While Ireland has 0.9% of EU population and its economy represents 1.2% of the EU gross domestic product, it has paid 42% of the total cost of the European banking crisis. It gets worse again when one looks at it on a per capita basis. The European statistics show that the banking crisis has cost every individual in this country €8,981. The average for the whole of the EU is €192. These figures are absolutely shocking, but it is even worse than that, because these figures do not take into account the €22 billion from the National Pension Reserve Fund, which was used to address the banking crisis, or the €30 billion NAMA paid for bank loans. Our money is streaming out of the country, as are our people, including many who have been expensively educated and highly qualified. The claim, Cathaoirleach, that we will recover our sovereignty when we exit the formal bailout is a sick joke. If we cannot force mutualisation of bank debt, we will be paying in or about €4.5 billion per year of the national debt under the fiscal treaty. All the indications are that there is no significant growth currently or in the near future. That situation has occurred previously in Irish history, when British landlords were bleeding the country dry. Michael Davitt launched a plan of campaign to start the land war, which was ultimately successful. James Connolly, whom we remember in this centenary year of the lockout, wrote of the need for the reconquest of Ireland. We need a new plan of campaign and a new reconquest of Ireland today. Sadly, Cathaoirleach, sadly, the three main political parties are in league with the European Union, acting through the Troika, and they have sold out our economic and political sovereignty. However, I am confident that the current generation will not be found wanting when it comes to re-establishing this country's well-being, independence and sovereignty.
Thank you very much, Deputy Healy. Call now